This video is sponsored by Parade, but more on that later.
Hi everyone, it's me again. Today we're going to talk about a creator who is controversial for very different reasons than many other creators that I typically talk about. As you know from reading the title, today we're talking about the creator named GlitterandLazers, otherwise known as Anna O'Brien. Before we get into things, links, source, ways to support the channel, all that kind of stuff all down below, including a link to today's sponsor once again, bestie of the channel, dare I say, Parade. Before we really get into all the kind of stuff, let's just kind of get into the parts of the video. Part 1, toxic positivity and leaving the body positivity community. Part 2, undisclosed sponsorships in Minecraft. And 3, lymphedema influencer era. Now, before we start the video, let's take a quick moment to thank today's sponsor, Parade. Now, many of you know that I've featured Parade many a times on my channel because I love working with them as a company, but also just like as the product itself. For those of you who are not familiar, Parade is a woman-owned lingerie and apparel brand that focuses on the use of sustainable fabrics, really well-designed product as far as sizing and composition goes, and just kind of integrating cute little designs into things that we wear on a daily basis. They also use post-consumer waste with 100% recycled polyesters and things like that, along with 100% ethically sourced cotton liners in the underwear and different apparel pieces. Today, I always talk about a different product, right? And as we probably have noticed, I am a bralette girl, big time. However, once in a blue moon, you come across a bra that has wires in it somehow. That is not awful. So this is like the first time in my life, genuinely, that this has happened to me. I have here I'm gonna have to scoot back because it's a little bigger. There we go. The always on t-shirt bra. This is in what they call 8-ball, which is their black. And then on the inside, it has red on the inside. Now, it's a pretty basic kind of just like black t-shirt bra, which is kind of exactly what I was looking for. And it has different features in it because I am a 38D or double D, depending on the bra. So I got this in size XL plus, which is what, if you've noticed, I've been getting the bralettes in, which, so you know, it transfers. Now, because I have the plus version, this is just for like bigger cup sizes and things like that. They've done different features such as the widening of the wire kind of angle, really, really wide. This is what changed my life. I'm gonna be so real. This like really wide side strap piece there, just because a lot of my tissue sits on the side. And then also I have the really, really thick bottom band piece. So you can probably see there, the thick black part there. And then also the straps are noticeably a bit wider than a lot of other ones that I've worn in the past. I have tried and tested this. I wore this to my 9-to-5 job. I wore it to run errands in. I always test things a few times. And it was like the one time in my life that I've worn a wire bra and I'm not just like in a constant sensory overload, like feeling the metal under me. Like, I'm just a huge hater of them. Anyway, in the same collection recently, there are also these really gorgeous unlined kind of bras with all these different patterns. I tried the rose pattern one, very, very, very pretty, loved her. And then I got my friend to try it and she loved it, so I let her take it because I had the t-shirt bra and I was just like, girl, you have to, because she had the same problem as me. So I was like, girl, you need to try this. Like, I'm telling you, I put people on in real life. If you want to save on these or any other Parade products, which the apparel thing might be, the apparel plug might be in the works in Minecraft, you can use my code MikaS30 to save 30% off. This just doesn't include things that are already 80% off or the Betsy Johnson collection. Please let me know what you got if you got anything. Thank you once again, Parade, for sponsoring this video, and let's get right into the video. So part 1, toxic positivity and leaving body positivity. So GlitterandLazers, or Anna, began her social media career as a blogger who was writing on her experiences as a plus-size woman and talking about how she wanted to document her weight loss. Over time, Anna gained popularity with her blog and other social media posts, and Anna blew up a lot in a huge way after going viral for a bikini photo on Instagram and this like deal that she had done as an integration with Gillette. Anna also has an undergrad in communications and a master's in qualitative methods, which focus on social media and web analytics. So this means the girlies researched on how to kind of blow up on social media, how to manage social media careers, etc., etc. GlitterandLazers blog was made up of Anna, who was Glitter, and Lazers, who was a man who I don't know and don't really want to dig into because clearly he does not want to be involved with everything, given that nobody's heard from him in years. And I feel the need to clarify before we get really deep into everything, that Anna herself has never been somebody who's in the what's called HAZE or health at every size community. So there's kind of like, obviously, like just on the internet in general, there's tons of different communities, there's tons of different areas you can look into. There's body positivity, there's body neutrality, there's health at every size, fat acceptance, fat advocacy, etc., etc. Now, obviously, tons of nuances with this, such as systemic oppression, like oppressive nature systemically towards people who are plus size, beauty standards, and their weaponization of thinness towards usually marginalized other people who are marginalized otherwise as well, plus sort of the facts of medical intervention that could be required for people who are unhealthy due to excess body fat leading to other conditions possibly. Like, there's a lot of different layers to things. Health at every size, I don't want to go into too much because I feel like I'm just not like well read on this stuff, and I don't want to make too many assumptions, but to extremely oversimplify everything that's gone into it. And there's tons of videos on this online if you want to kind of go into it. It's the ideology that regardless of how much you weigh, you can be physically healthy, and this also goes both ways, in the sense that people who are very thin or fit looking could actually be as more unhealthy per se than somebody who is plus size. Now, Anna has never been in that end of it. She's been in what's called body positivity, which is love the body you're in the state that it's in, but that depends on who you ask. That is only for people who are plus size. Some people deem body positivity as just the belief that you are good enough with the body that you have and that you should make the most of it. Again, this is something that, again, tons and tons and tons of content on, tons of conversations on, and not specifically the focus of this video. Anna's typical content does consist of just kind of traveling, shopping vlogs, a lot of it around being plus size, because Anna is what would be, I guess, considered the category some people call her super fats or morbidly obese. She's quite large. So what she does, she talks about, for example, oh, in this country, where do you buy plus size clothing, how I take flights, how I go to amusement parks and do all these different things along that line. Mind you, Anna is always kind of out and about and doing quite a lot of things, and also trying to demonstrate that she is able to kind of have this fun, spontaneous, travel-filled lifestyle, regardless of what size she is at a given time. Anna claims that she wants to break barriers on how fat bodies are seen, used to do quite a bit of kind of risque photo shoots in public places or populated places, and will often put places or stores on blast if they do not accommodate people of her size. Anna grew in popularity in the late 2010s, which was kind of as the body positivity community started to peak. Anna was in the same sort of content space in the late 2010s as people like Fat Girl Flo, Tess Holliday, Virgie Tolvar, Marissa Matthews, that kind of end, which a lot of those creators did end up leaning into the health at every size aspect, but Anna kind of just kept it quiet on a lot of things like that. The issue that came to this was that very ideology of HAZE. So I feel like Anna did not push back a lot on this at first, kind of just as like a desire for overall community. But a couple of years ago, I believe 2020 was when this happened, came a huge shift to her content, and I'm going to reference this video quite a few times. So let's recall that Glitter and Lasers began as a blog that was about Anna wanting to lose weight. Then it became a brand of Anna showing herself at her size unapologetically and just living her life regardless of her weight. There were lots of videos where she would kind of clickbait the concept of that she glorifies obesity and kind of a lot of these frivolous claims and kind of just being like, no, see how I'm living my life regardless of what's going on. Video that shook up everyone's perception of Anna and actually caused quite a bit of controversy for her was a video where Anna decided that she needed to lose weight for her health, and this was directly at odds, as opposed to kind of just staying quiet, against a lot of health at every size beliefs. Now, there are always going to be nuanced aspects on reasons that people are going to be upset about these types of videos, which we'll get to with Anna is that she's also not very honest about how she feels about her weight, how she manages like brand deals and things like that in relation to it, which we'll get to down the line. And there's a lot of flip-flopping. So there's kind of a lot of reason as to why people would be kind of frustrated with this. So for one, there have been quite a few instances where creators just in general enter the body positivity, fat positivity, health at every size space, and will then lose weight and then alienate their audience. There's that girl Remy something something whatever on TikTok. This has happened quite a few times. I'm just, for some reason, all of a sudden I'm drawing blanks. Point is, there are a pretty decent amount of examples. Just why am I not thinking of any of them? I don't know. I didn't add them in my notes, but I'm sure a lot of you will know. There's also suspicion that there was financial gain to be made from this at this shift into kind of moving into maybe the idea of wanting to lose weight, because the diet and beauty industry is just such a huge industry. Meanwhile, haze and fat acceptance and stuff like that presented as a counterculture. And obviously countercultures are not as profitable just because, again, they counter the culture and they counter capitalistic ideals. And there's a lot of links to thinness and capitalism. And again, a lot people who are smarter than me, who are more read than me, have written about this before. So those are kind of things to consider as well. Seemingly entirely switching up your health philosophy just like randomly one day as far as how you're presenting on the internet goes can obviously make you present as kind of a disingenuous person and can kind of make people suspicious as to kind of where you're trying to go with things. Genuinely, I think what saved Anna in this circumstance, because sometimes people get a lot of flack for doing these types of things and then sort of just kind of fizzle off. It was because another plus size creator named Fat Girl Flo came for Anna in a really stupid way.
There are lots of people who lose weight and diet and start exercising and stuff that somehow manage to not make people feel alienated. It's totally possible. It's a thing that people do all the time. When you make people feel alienated and like you think that you're going to be better than them when you lose weight, that's when people start having a problem, I think. I mean, you guys tell me what you think about this. I guess I think that if you're a YouTuber and you decide to go on a weight loss journey and your entire audience has always been plus size people and fat people, it's really important that you know who your audience is and you try to continue to make them feel welcome without like alienating them or invalidating their experience as a fat person, because they are your core audience. Not only that, but we all know that we make money on YouTube. Obviously, I just had a sponsorship, right? We all make money on YouTube. That is how it works. And if you are making money in the plus size space, but then saying negative things about plus size people, it feels almost like predatory. It feels like you are saying, I can make money off of you, but I don't really want to be like you. Does that make sense?
And then what ended up happening was the fitness channels, the weight loss channels, but also just the people that don't like fat acceptance or don't like haze or don't like a lot of these ideologies, maybe out of personal experiences, out of perceptions, maybe some of them are ill-informed or some of them are more informed. Again, it depends. Kind of the reason why I'm fence sitting on this is because this is not my focus on like this particular video. But point is, these channels that are against haze, against like the fat acceptance ideologies from these creators a lot of the time, picked up Anna's story and were sort of like, hey, look at how nasty Fat Girl Flo is being for somebody who just wants to take control of their health.
Just remember, and Anna, in her video, was incredibly kind, wasn't condescending at all, definitely didn't make anyone feel like they have to lose weight, definitely didn't make it seem like she was telling other people to lose weight. She was sharing her journey, why she has decided to pursue health because of this thing that is going on with her body that is causing a lot of pain and a lot of suffering. Okay? Very important. Now let's keep going.
That's the goal. We just don't want to harm other people. Oh, this perfume smells really good. With weight loss though, and this particular YouTuber, they've been talking a lot about the judgments they have around food and their body and why they think that who they were or who they are trying not to be anymore is bad. They talk a lot about how the foods they ate were really bad and about they're just making a lot of judgments.
Yes. She is currently trying to improve her situation. Okay? She is trying to better herself through diet and exercise or eating differently or making better decisions, whatever words you want to use.
It's also just like the aspect that fat phobia is like constantly weaponized against every, like, especially women of like almost all sizes. You will see literally like an athlete, somebody who is definitely thin, and some guy who's never touched a woman in his life on Twitter will be like, I like my women with a bit of meat on them, and she's like a size 6. That's like, and this is like often just rage bait discourse, but the point is to kind of that rage bait exists as its own, ability to pull like that because it is a concept that a lot of people believe in. Like fat phobia is something that a lot of people think favors them. I get comments on my more controversial videos like all the time where people think making assumptions about my health, my size, all that kind of stuff is like somehow diluting like all of my points, because it's so crazy to me, because there are many commentary channels where they're not Miss Universe, right? But for some reason, when women have these conversations, or AFAB people, femme presenting people, even then just like not cis men a lot of the time, to be fully frank, and they're not attractive to the person who's talking about them, they'll somehow construct that as an ability to dilute all of the points and that they don't matter. As if the intellectual property of the argument can be removed from the fact if you want to have sex with them or not. And with Anna, for example, or with Fat Girl Flo, or with Marissa Matthews, Says Holiday, whatever, this is something that is also like, this is why I don't tend to touch videos like this a lot of the time, because sometimes I'm looking for well-founded points, I'm looking for good criticism, I'm looking for people who have like good faith argument about this, and then there'll just be some people that are just like, look at how fat she is for like 30 minutes. And it's just like, okay, well, that's not what we're getting at. It's really not that serious. And I just never want to come from these conversations with feeling like I'm trying to present any further ridicule, or that I'm trying to be like those people I was criticizing. I made a video on Marissa Matthews, for example, to discuss the nature of her own ridicule-heavy, patronizing, condescending language, and how it ostracizes people that need the access to, you know, maybe helpful, positive communities. But instead, Marissa's just berating everybody who doesn't agree with her. But this is not how Anna presents, for example. But this is how Fat Girl Flo was presenting herself when talking about Glitter and Lasers. So because the language use was so flippant, and the direction of her criticism was so, it was also shady and indirect, but it was also just kind of mean-spirited, people were really easily able to disregard it and side with Glitter and Lasers. The most famous saying on this channel, I fear, especially when we're talking about somebody like Glitter and Lasers who's faced unnecessary ridicule, people were talking about the plus size community online in general, and if they do things that are bad or do things that are good, it is the motto of my existence that two things can be true at once. While Fat Girl Flo's reasonings were pretty unrelated to the major issue, especially at the time, and what had already been revealed and what Anna was saying, it did turn out that Anna herself would not be a super genuine person. And let's discuss that in part 2. Part 2, undisclosed sponsorships in Minecraft. I say in Minecraft as in allegedly. Thank you for the 3 people that are going to be enraged that I said Minecraft because they don't get it. Let's continue. Now, we know this video was sponsored, but notice how it was extremely obvious that it was sponsored. You see where I'm getting at here? Let me stop speaking in tongues, mind you, and get to the point. One of the main complaints about Anna, Glitter and Lasers in recent history is that every single video where Anna does or talks about anything ever is sponsored. And I need to explain the different types of integrations in this aspect. On YouTube, there are 2 main types of integrations: dedicated posts and integrations proper, as in just like what I did where it was like 2 minutes or whatever I edited it down to be, I don't know. For most big brands, they expect an integration, which is usually 60 to 120 seconds, dedicated to discussing the product. Usually, most people take longer than that, me included, averages anywhere between 2 and 5 minutes. The other kind is a dedicated video, meaning that the entire video is made only to talk about the product at hand. These are less common depending on what type of channel it is. So sometimes you get people who do like haul videos, they do makeup videos, they do those types of things. That will be more common with your dedicated sponsor videos. Both types can be clearly outlined, done properly, done legally per the FTC guidelines. And the FTC guidelines are for, if your video is able to be shown in the US, it has to follow the FTC guidelines in the US. It doesn't matter in the country of origin. So for example, I live in Canada. I voted today, the election. So I am not an American, not an American citizen. I went to New York City once when I was 13, and that's the only time I've ever been there. Despite that, though, also a majority of my audience is in the United States. I have to follow the FTC guidelines when I do my integrations. There have been quite a few instances where Anna has made videos that are dedicated posts, and it is extremely unclear if they are partially sponsored, entirely sponsored, if it was Anna's idea and then she reached out to the brand and was like, hey, you should sponsor me. I want to talk about you. It was like incredibly unclear. One video was posted as a what I eat in a day. I remember this one was pretty bad, where in reality, it was essentially a haul of Quest brand protein snacks. And that was it. And people were expecting kind of a more upfront video of like what I eat in a day proper, right? With this, people were expecting more like that, where Anna goes through her meals, goes through maybe the macros because she kind of does fitness stuff sometimes, whatever. But instead, it was just her being like, oh, I also had some of these. It was just her being like, look at this thing. And like this snack, and I got it at Target and I love it. And then, oh, this other snack that I eat, and it was just nothing. It wasn't like actual meals, but it was called What I Eat in a Day, which is consistently the type of video that's describing meals like how I had described them. Another video was positioned as a story. This one was pretty bad. Another video was positioned as a story time talking about her mental health and her relationship with therapy, which was in turn sprinkled in with promotions for BetterHelp, which on its own is ethically questionable at absolute best. And this is obviously in bad practice, not only because of the existence of this kind of BetterHelp integration, but also because it's taking advantage of the good faith of the audience that wanted to make sure that Anna was okay per the title of the video. And another thing is a big part of Anna's content is plus size travel content, which on its surface is helpful to many people as there are a multitude of accommodations that are available, but a lot of them are not front and centered for plus size people. And the issue is you often get to the end of the video where it never even becomes explicit that the video is sponsored, or you get the surprise at the end. And it seems to be one of those and never just the right way. Because another thing that I'm noticing with a lot of Anna's videos when I was clicking through them while researching and stuff is when you clicked onto this video, in the top, I don't know what way I am when I actually edit it, right? It's this corner. If I'm flipped, if I'm right the same direction, it's this corner. Anyway, it is this video is sponsored content, whatever that pops up at the top. That's also never there. I was checking a lot of those. A lot of them don't have active links. A lot of them don't have the term sponsored because for example, or you have to say it's sponsored in the first 5 seconds, depending on the brand, or the first 5 minutes at most. So when I do it, you got a little, this video is sponsored by Parade moment at the beginning. She's not doing that ever. To add insult to injury, like low key, a lot of the time when Anna's on what could probably be sponsored trips, we don't know, again, because it's like she's like, this is one thing I'm actually kind of gagged about. I find GlitterandLazers to be a way worse for not being transparent about brand deals and stuff than like Jaclyn Hill. But like Jaclyn, and I don't like Jaclyn Hill, we know that, I made a whole video about it. But like, why is Jaclyn Hill the one, like why are only the beauty girl, well, misogyny probably, but like I digress. Why are only the beauty community girlies ever getting the smoke for like integrations? Because like, Anna, at least Jaclyn, like it's kind of, or she'll like kind of link it, or it's like she'll just kind of mess up how she links it. Anna, it's like it's not even there. And then she'll go on these sponsored trips and then just like bitch and whine the whole time, being like, this sucks. Or it might not be sponsored, but then but then how is she doing it? See, I'm already like, like not understanding, right? Or she'll have like an entitled attitude or something along that line, and people will get upset. Anna utilizes her bubbly and happy personality to keep doing these very arguably unethical videos as more of like it's almost like she's like, my good graces, my happiness, my bubbliness, my popularity, like I'm doing you a favor by showing you this stuff that they've paid me to show you because you get to see me and I'm so positive and happy and look at how great my life is and your life can be great too if you are like me. And then we'll have these kind of moments of what feels like pseudo transparency, especially because it's going to be paired with another sponsor video the next time, that it really feels like there's no genuineness, and instead, and this is why the video is titled the way that it is, that Anna's sense of positivity is just weaponized to avoid criticism for her unethical ways of running the channel and the social media platforms, and so that she can tell herself, like, which similarly to Jaclyn Hill, actually, interestingly enough, that the silly criticisms, such as what I was talking about before, the like, oh my god, look how fat she is shit, that's like the totality of it, and then in turn should be ignored because she can't lose 300 pounds tomorrow. Even a majority of the fashion hauls, if they weren't sponsored, were filled to the brim with affiliate links. But even then, you can't comment about the ethics of this thing because essentially every single one of our videos, the comments are turned off. The most kind of diabolical aspects when we're talking about sponsors and things like that come in with the next part. Part 3, Lymphedema influencer era. If we circle back to the video from 2020 that caused controversy for Anna, this was discussing that she knew that she had to make a change because she felt that she was losing her kind of overall healthiness and her ability to be mobile and her ability to kind of do a lot of these like trips and all these different things that she's kind of constantly been doing. Anna also follows up with this in 2021, the video in 2020 that I mentioned, Fat Girl Flow, came for her in, which the Q&A in 2021, she kind of just talks about how she feels like weight loss would favor her and how she doesn't like that that's a controversial statement and just kind of reflecting on those things. The bigger change comes in 2022 with a video called The Truth About My Health, where Anna admits that even after this awakening in 2020, she hasn't really been able to get a grip in the way that she's wanted to, and she feels her health rapidly declining because of the advanced stages of the lymphedema that she has.
My weight has protected me and helped me. And I know that if you've never been plus size, you'll not understand anything I'm saying. So I'm not expecting you to understand it. I'm expecting you to be shocked by that. But if you are, I hope that you can see that sometimes weight can provide a barrier, a boundary, a safety that maybe we don't realize. And I think for me, that has partly been what my weight has been. That doesn't change the fact that I also have lymphedema. So like, I don't even know at this point what I can fix and what I can't, which is incredibly frustrating because I now feel, based on my own discovery and my own work, in a lot of ways that my body is a shield I don't need anymore. Well, my body in the way that it is right now. And I want it to get to a place where I don't feel like it's masking me anymore. And I don't know how.
Anna presents herself in this video as quite candid, stating that despite the fact that she's one of the kindest people online, that she gets consistent hate.
So I want you guys to bear with me as I go through this. I'm going to try to be as eloquent as I possibly can, but I'm probably going to screw it up, and I'm okay with that because I am tired of trying to be perfect. And I am tired of trying to get everybody to like me because guess what? I'm not for everybody. And some people are just going to hate me, no matter if I am the nicest, kindest, most charitable, most thoughtful person in the world. There are going to be people that still hate me. And so I am tired of trying to people please.
This is after I just went over a huge rant about how unethical a lot of the videos are. I also want to point out something because this is going to be a little bit of an anecdote about myself and blah, blah, blah. Who cares? You know, you're here to hear a little bit about me too sometimes, I feel like. I'm going to get into a little anecdote about myself here when I talk about this kind of my thoughts about Anna in this regard. And you're going to learn a little bit about me, I guess. Okay, so I've gone on and on and on about how my personality in the videos is not what I'm like in real life, which is true, especially because I'm not content brained. I don't care about content. I'm not like the craziest about doing it all the time. You know, it's not like I'm not just like in this constant, like, I've never really understood people who were. But in like my real life, I'm quite brash. I'm very blunt. But also I'm really nice to people that I like, and I'm very like accommodating. I also like to go out and stuff a lot, like not partying or anything. I just like to like sit in a park and yap and have like some bread and cheese. But one thing about me is I'm always the first person to point out if someone's a little sus, right? I'll meet somebody and I always say the vibe's just off. I don't know what it is, because a lot of the time when I'm pointing something out like that, it's of one of those people that's very sugary sweet. And one thing that I've kind of come to terms with a little bit of therapy too, right, is a lot of people, you know how people will say they mistaken my kindness for weakness, or they'll turn it like that. There's another end of that coin. There's another side of that coin, rather. But people will utilize kindness to be manipulative. They'll utilize that sugary sweetness to be like, well, notice how this other person can be contentious with people, and they'll weaponize the other person not being as sickly sweet, toxic positive as them, as the other person's moral failure, despite the fact that somebody who is sweet like that might be acting badly kind of in the background. This is manipulative too. It's just less obvious, and you often find out about these people kind of way further down the line. This is something that I find people, I've noticed, figure out more later in life. Anna is like this too. Is like, well, look at how big of a bitch the person who's ranting about me is, and I am so nice and kind and sweet, so clearly they're the problem. That's kind of the mentality that I'm getting at. In this video, as in the 2022 Truth About My Health, Anna admits that she was not ready for all the feedback in her video from 2020, and reflects that things had begun to build up after that, and especially facing a lot of guilt that she felt during her childhood, despite the fact that a lot of the things that were happening to her were not her fault because she was a literal child. Anna talks about how food is a coping mechanism and always has been, and that the kind of bigger body that she had built had kind of become a shield for her. And Anna describes that she wants to be able to go into a more holistic approach into making herself healthier, and hopes that maybe weight loss will come with that as well. Essentially kind of just being like, no promises, more or less. May 31st, now we got to lock in on this timeline, because this is where it gets crazy. May 31st, 2022 starts the new journey for Anna via a video called I Just Can't Win, with a literal crying emoji in the title. This video starts with Anna talking about taking a social media break, discusses this woman that she had met on a plane, and how this woman had talked about how she had an ED, and she confided in Anna, and how Anna helped her gain weight and things like that. Anna closes by discussing how she feels worried that she'll never be able to lose weight because of the condition that she has, and she has stage 4 lymphedema. For the next few months, Anna's content focused on pretty much just traveling, plus size hauls. I was scrolling through the videos. There's nothing particularly crazy going on. Most of these seem to be sponsored, but I can't tell because it's impossible to tell genuinely. And this is from somebody who like does this, sort of for a living. And I still can't clock it. Like, that's crazy. There was also a clickbait video about failure that was actually about glass blowing. And this is how money hungry it's giving. I think that the I'm a failure video, yeah, that's what it was called, that was about glass blowing, was partnered with a glass blowing studio. Like, am I just gonna start taking sponsorships from like companies that make wrenches? Like, how are we jumping around so much? Like, it's so bizarre to me. So more or less, things were not about weight loss much from that video in 2022 where Anna was reflecting on, her past and stuff like that, into 2023. In the video called My Fitness Secret, which was released in May of 2023, My Fitness Secret, How I Finally Got Consistent with My Workouts, Anna talks about this accessible workout program and how she's improved her physique so much and her mobility and her strength from using this mobile fitness program from a company called Copilot.
But I had had a terrible experience with a trainer in the past where he basically told me that I was lazy because I couldn't adjust my schedule to fit the very awkward times he had available, and therefore I was going to be a failure. And it made me feel like crap. So I was not looking for that experience again, to be really honest, and I was a little shy about it. Well, then I heard about Copilot, and I was like, okay, this might work for me. It's a combination of technology plus human connection to help you build better fitness habits. So what it is you go on their website and you kind of just fill out an initial survey. And you're like, this is what I want to do. This is what's important to me. This is how I feel about certain things. Then you get a selection of trainers you can pick from, and then you find your selected trainer and you start working with them. So
there is no use of the word sponsor in the video or in the description. She even incorporates images and B-roll in the exact way that when you do a brand deal with a lot of brands, you can watch my own, they ask you for that. Doesn't explicitly say sponsored, doesn't explicitly say, that they're paying whatever. And then there is a link at the top of the description where it has to be, but again, it's not clear. The link also notably is dead, which I thought was interesting. And on top of that, she didn't look very acquainted with the training and well-versed in the program as you would to have improved your mobility this much in this short period of time. Well, how did that happen? There was one shift of monetizing this supposed health journey and the other end of being sneaky with catching the bag. People began noticing that in this era of not talking a ton about fitness, but also doing the co-pilot stuff and the traveling, and it was bouncing back and forth a lot, Anna was losing a pretty decent amount of weight. And given Anna's pattern about seemingly wanting to monetize everything, and the partnership with co-pilot not being convincing, people wanted to know what was going on. And questions about weight loss medications started to circle. Then on July 24th, 2023, Anna admits via Instagram post that she has been using weight loss medications to manage her weight, but does not name which one it is, of course, because the bag's not lined, presumably in Minecraft, I guess. So more digging happened, and people found a podcast from Novo Nordisk that featured Anna by her first name, Anna O'Brien, not Glitter and Lasers, which is used for essentially all of her social media handles.
Yvette Nicole Brown and guests are all paid spokespersons for Novo Nordisk Inc.
So tell me what your specific journey includes.
Well, it started with my doctor, and we worked out a weight management plan that really worked for me. I work to get out of my comfort zone all the time, and I try new things physically. I've started meditating in order to create mindfulness in my life, and I try to make sure I'm drinking enough water and sleeping enough. Those really do help. And I use my platforms to allow myself to be fully seen in this process. While any one of these things might seem like a small thing, it has felt and it has been revolutionary in my life.
Yes. Okay then. You are hard at work building your beautiful life with the care and help you deserve.
Seriously, I didn't just wake up like this. And part of this journey was attending the It's Bigger Than Me event in Houston. I really started to understand after listening to Queen Latifah and other influencers and doctors, like you, Dr. Horn, that I needed to take all the internal work I had done to love myself to the next level. And really have the courage to address some of the health repercussions of this disease.
It's Bigger Than Me is presented by Novo Nordisk Inc. and has become a movement supported by Queen Latifah and thousands of people and companies such as the NFL Alumni, the Media Empathy Foundation, and the Obesity Action Coalition, aiming to change the way the world understands, talks about, and treats obesity.
I actually had to DM channel Megan Ann to get info about it because I tried to look it up on my own and there was nothing to be found. In Megan's video titled Glitter and Lasers Has Been Lying to You, she talks about the podcast and said that it was aired in April of this year. Now, what year did Megan's video come out? 2023. But Mika, didn't you just say she admitted to the weight loss medications in July of 2023? I did. Locking in. July of 2023 is when Anna admitted to using GLP-1s. May of 2023 was when she did the plug for Copilot being like, I'm so snatched and skinny in Minecraft. That was not really what happened. She kind of was just like, I'm so fit, whatever. But then April, she was doing a podcast with the brand, the company that owns the patent for Ozempic. It is not until all the way in January of 2024 that Anna talks about this on YouTube. 2024, things go full speed ahead for the lymphedema content. This is where we're getting the lymphedema influencer era. In April 2024, Anna makes an Instagram post saying that she flew to LA to meet with a specialist to surgically remove the lymphedema. At this point, Anna has essentially conceded to the fact that I'm not going to be able to lose any weight unless I get it surgically removed. All these lymphedema cells, they just keep multiplying. And even though if I lose the other fat cells, they're quickly getting replaced with lymphedema ones. On June 26th, 2024, Anna makes a video about getting surgery. Once again, saying that people are mean to her online. She's crying. She's trying to present herself as candid. There seems to be a cycle in the same way that there's a cycle for like Amberlynn Reid, where it's like Anna does a candid video. Like somebody should make this. please, okay, and cite me because, you know, I'm the bestie for real. Anna makes a post. Anna has a crisis, a weight-based crisis, or a health-based crisis, let's say. Then makes a candid video. Then fitness arc. Then ignoring everything and doing hauls. And then the cycle continues and continues and continues. So right now, we're in phase 3, which is doing the content, like the fitness content, the health content, whatever. So the video where Anna's crying, that's the candid video, the crisis video. And then now we're getting to the surgeries. We're moving into that third phase, as I mentioned. She also says, I'm not the problem. The condition is the problem. And just a lot of weird clipping and jumps and strange clips. Anna also talks about in this video from June of 2024 about feeling like a failure for seeking medical intervention for losing weight. And the comments are off on this one as well. As Anna progressed through her journey, she kept going on and on and on about the doctor and the institute in which she was getting her surgery, making people very suspicious, again, that there might be something going on. And there have been conversations on a certain place that farms kiwis that perhaps, obviously there's a deal going on, but also that this doctor or institute might not be the best. Now, I'm not commenting on that. American healthcare system on its own, not my circus or my monkeys, girl, let me tell you. But also on one of the posts when I was just clicking around, there's a little hashtag ATL ambassador finally putting in the sponsoring stuff at the bottom of the Instagram post. So what's going on? But now Anna's just done her 4th surgery. So I hate to be that guy. Kind of doesn't really look that different. I don't really understand the nature of the surgeries that she's doing, to be fully fair. Because what's funny about this is we're talking about the phases. Anna's back in the working out phase. She's doing fitness content again and has a bunch of compression gear on from her surgeries. So she said that she's recovered enough from her most recent surgery to be able to go back to working out. Gus is snoring, if you can hear that. So that brings us to current day. So let's conclude. In conclusion, we talked about Anna O'Brien's start as a weight loss blog, moving into kind of the body positivity realm to then kind of leave it quite dramatically and then move into sort of health and fitness, talking about her lymphedema, the nature of the very, very, very frequent will not even speak unless someone's lining my bag, to the lymphedema influencer arc and the hidden in Minecraft GLP-1 podcast. Links, source, and way to support the channel, all that kind of stuff all down below, including the link to today's sponsor parade because I do follow the guidelines. Email also there to support, or not support, but you can just suggest content to me or, I don't know, say something silly. Please don't be mean to me. Thank you, Parade, for sponsoring the video. Thank you for getting this far and watching, and I hope y'all have an amazing day, and I'll see you when I see you. Bye.